So the other two modifications we made to the car before heading to Ardmore today were to fit the Racefab suspension arms and the BC Racing coilovers. Both of these modifications should make the car a little bit more responsive to the driver, should give the driver a little bit more feedback, and again we're hoping that the car will sit a little bit flatter through the corners, and this should aid lateral G-force. Let's take it for a drive and see how it goes. So with the BC Racing suspension, we've gone for a spring rate that isn't super stiff, remembering that this car is supposed to be a compromise between both road and track. So we could fit a stiffer spring, it would make it better for the racetrack, but it would absolutely destroy the car on the road. Now I've just driven this car all the way from Wellington to Auckland, and we've driven over some pretty rough roads, and the car is definitely stiff, but it's still compliant enough to be able to cope with the normal sort of second-rate New Zealand roads that we can expect to see. On the track though, you can feel that it takes out a little bit more of the body roll than what we had with just the white line sway bars on their own. The car does feel a little bit tighter, and particularly when we're going through those S-bends, there's not quite so much body roll when we switch back. So that's going to help the tyre sit flatter on the track. We're going to be using more of that tyre to generate grip, and that's going to increase our lateral G-force, and ultimately that's why we're expecting our lap times to be improved. The other advantage with the BC Racing suspension is that it's adjustable for both ride height as well as bump and rebound, so we can really tune the car to suit both the racetrack and our preference. Now we haven't had a chance to really play with that too much today at Ardmore, as the reality is it's actually been working pretty well straight out of the box. But if we're on a particularly smooth or a particularly bumpy track, we could then adjust the bump and rebound to suit our preference, and we can also adjust the bump and rebound to suit different spring rates if we decide to change spring rates. So in our opinion, the BC Racing coilover is just about the perfect compromise between road and track. It works really well on the track, gives a huge improvement in grip levels, but you can still drive it on the street. It's so smooth, I'd recommend it to my mum. So we've wrapped up our testing here at Ardmore, and I'm really impressed with the improvements we've got out of the D2 Racing brake kit and the BC Racing coilover suspension. The car's faster around our Ardmore Gymkhana course, it's easier to drive, and it gives more feedback to the driver. Now I want you guys to remember that while we've fitted these parts to our Toyota 86, BC Racing coilover suspension and D2 Racing big brake kits are available for almost all performance cars. Fit these parts to your car and you can expect similar improvements. Testing out the new Nitto NT01 track tyres. So these are a semi-slick compound. For me it's the first time I've driven on a semi-slick, and I could not believe the difference. It took me a whole session to actually find the limits of the tyres. It's really transformed the handling, and the car is so much quicker around the track thanks to the tyres.